Chapter 41. I am. Lisa's man Lisa glanced at her own father. Father, how have I been unscrupulous? I had no part to play in this rumor. If you are really honest, you can still make up for it by going to the Carters and apologizing to them now. They still have not found someone for the marriage. Emily would sooner die than let Olivia marry, and Richard could only watch at the Carters handing their fortunes away to someone else. The thought of that made his heart uneasy. Lisa was in astonishment. She gazed at her father mockingly, unable to fathom how he could still be thinking of that topic now. Father, don't think about this anymore. Don't claim that I don't want to. Actually, I already have a boyfriend, so I will not marry anyone else. Lisa did not reveal that she was already married. She just stated that she had a boyfriend. Richard was startled. He gazed at Lisa, suspiciously. Are you serious? Lisa laughed. Why would I lie about something like that? Nathan? Of course not. That is only a rumor. Richard's gaze turned with disappointment. It was impossible. With her, how could she catch the eyes of someone like Nathan? Richard snorted. You better not bring home a poor gigolo from your circle. I will tell you now. I will never consent to it. You better not get misled too. I don't see how the Carters are horrible. If you enter their family, you become a lady everywhere you go and have a magnificent life with endless money to spend. If you want their money so much, why don't you send stepmother to marry them? I am your daughter, but you want to sell me. Lisa was devastated. She never understood why she was even born into this household. Richard's face plummeted. Emily had just overheard Lisa's final statements. Lisa, what kind of attitude is this? I let you into my home to attend the engagement and treat you like family. How dare you say such things to me and your father? Lisa sneered. Only, you know best why you let me return. Anyway, I already have a man. I don't imagine the Carters will still be willing. You both best abandon this concept of yours. Emily's face grew red. You shameless girl. I just knew it. You were out. They're messing about and you dare pretend you already have a man? You're still proudly showing off how loose you are? Lisa already knew that no matter what she did, she was always wrong in their eyes. If she just came back like that, everybody would say she had no regard for this house. If she fixed herself up before coming back, they would say that she was showing off. Lisa turned and walked away instantly. However, a calm voice quickly sounded. Are you forcing Lisa to marry someone else? This voice, it was deep, gruff, but had an aura of sympathy. Lisa turned her head to find James behind her, wearing in a black suit as he walked over. James's great size provided about a king-like feeling. His eyes were focused, and it felt like nobody could peer deeper in. While still in her wheelchair, Lisa felt his hand going behind without much effort. Lisa did not expect him to be here. Nobody expected him to be here. Lisa had not even told him that she would be coming here. After all, they were only married because of a contract. She did not want to upset him with her own issues. Looking up, her eyes met his deep, dark eyes that seemed to be looking into hers. He then raised his eyes and scowled at Richard and Emily with evident disgust. Emily gazed at James and questioned, sharply, Where are you from? James quietly peered over Emily. His voice was chilly, and although he restrained it, his voice was still unmistakably harsh. Is this your stepmother? He completely ignored Emily and dropped his head to ask Lisa. Lisa gazed at Emily and replied, Emily indignantly aimed her finger at James. Ha! You must be Lisa's gigolo, aren't you? Who permitted you to be here? James gripped onto the wheelchair and glanced at Emily. Without blinking an eyelash, he continued. It's an engagement. Of course the family must attend. Since you invited Lisa, I had to come along. Am I not right? Lisa figured Emily may not have known who James was. Lisa would never have thought that such a perfect person existed. First, he was the top of the crop. He would never have been within her reach, and neither would she have attempted. Second, although reporters strove to take images of him quietly, they were never successful. He was always surrounded by too many people protecting him and never gave them a chance to leak out photographs. Such an elusive individual. People could only hear of him, but they never saw him. Emily took one good look at James. He was indeed not bad looking. Maybe he was also a celebrity? Emily snorted and replied, "Who do you think you are to claim to be family? If you want to marry and take away our Lisa, you should at least gain our approval, which we have not given you. We will surely not." James said bluntly, his voice without emotion, "I do not need approval from anybody for who I want to marry." "Ha, you're too arrogant. She is part of the Smith family and she is our daughter, not some cheap thing you can take away anytime. Tell me first, what is it that you do? How much do you earn in a month? Do you have a house? Are you local? Do you have a car? How much dowry have you prepared for us? Let me inform you that our minimal dowry is $1 million. If you can't meet that, don't contemplate about marrying her. For all these years, she's been eating here, living here, and using the privileged title of Miss Smith. So much excess. It will surely not be for free." James repeated, $1 million? Emily asked. "What's the matter? Can't afford it? If you can't afford it, then get lost." At this moment, Richard was tugging against Emily from behind. Looking at James with enthusiasm in his eyes, as if he wished to pacify the man, he said, "Are you really our Lisa's boyfriend?" James gazed at Lisa, who was chewing her lip and staring at him apologetically. Her eyes shone like lakes reflecting the stars, gracefully moving. James answered, "Yes." Richard laughed. This Lisa didn't tell us she had a boyfriend all along. She should have mentioned it sooner. Chapter 42. You Are My Wife. Lisa was stunned. She stared up at Richard, who had suddenly seemed to transform. What was he trying to do? Why did his attitude entirely turn? James continued looking at Richard condescendingly. "We only just got together, so I'm not in a hurry to visit her. Home with her." "Oh, but we welcome you any time. The sooner the better." Richard laughed loudly. "Lisa has always been the cause of our worries. She is still young and undeveloped. In the future, she will grasp that what we have done is for her own good. Now she is under your care." James bowed his head and held her hand lovingly. Lisa lifted her head to follow his gaze. James stated bluntly, "Lisa is the purest, loveliest, and most beautiful girl I've ever met. Being with her makes me very satisfied. Taking care of her is my duty." Lisa's heart skipped a little. Looking up at James, she had never anticipated that he would help her this way. She was extremely touched. No one had ever treated her so tenderly. Richard's eyes glared at James, gradually becoming humbled. Emily was not thrilled to see her husband reducing himself to a gigolo like that. It was inconceivable. James began to push Lisa. Lisa's leg was injured because of the car accident. It has not healed yet, and she needs plenty of rest. If there's nothing else, I shall bring her back to rest." Richard instantly answered, Of course. Please go ahead. Right this way." James looked scornfully at Emily one last time. As he was shoving Lisa away, Emily gritted her teeth. What type of thinking was that? How dare he behave so boldly in front of her? From distance, Ryan observed as Lisa went with a handsome but cold-looking man. His heart shook a little. Who was the guy? Ryan watched on as that man pushed Lisa, acting quite caring. With interest on his face, Ryan stepped near them while overhearing Emily aggressively lashing out at Richard. "What the hell are you doing? Why were you all over the gigolo, groveling?" "At his feet?" Emily was such a disgrace. Nathan glared at Emily. That was no ordinary man. Emily said, "Yeah, he looks decent, but Ryan is also good-looking and even richer than him." Richard snorted. "See, you didn't even notice that he had a ring on his finger. That ring is not something you see on just anybody." "Ha, it's just a ring. Why would a man be flaunting gems anyway?" Emily said indignantly. Richard said, "You know nothing. I've seen that ring on someone before. He was wearing it publicly on television." "Who? Which celebrity?" Emily thought. Since it appeared on television, it had to be a celebrity. Richard's eyes narrowed. "The president." Emily's jaw dropped as she shouted out, "That's impossible! Are you crazy? You must have seen the wrong thing." Just then, Ryan walked over from behind. Hearing them discuss the president's ring, he questioned gravely, "Uncle, Auntie, what are you talking about?" "The president indeed wears a ring. Because he's a family man, he wears a ring as his Family's symbol, and he wears it everywhere he goes. Just now, that man was part of the James family? Until today, there was only one individual in the James family whose images have never been photographed before, and that was the mysterious James. Don't tell me that man pushing Lisa was James. That one sentence rocked everybody into quiet. I'm 90% sure. Richard felt even more certain now after hearing the same speculation from Ryan. Emily was unconvinced. That's impossible. You both are thinking too much. Just look at how slutty Lisa is. How could she possibly hook such a large fish? You think too highly of her. Of course, Emily refused to believe it. It was impossible. A beauty like Olivia. Being able to marry Ryan was already the envy of many. Why would a slut like Lisa be able to meet such a rich and skilled man? She would rather die than think that it was real. Ryan also felt confused. So, how did they know each other? Emily said bluntly, Even if that was him, he must only be fooling with Lisa. She has been adventurous recently, hooking up with Nathan and now with another man. Is she so motivated after meeting Olivia that she's willing to sacrifice herself for money? And you still want to encourage her, Richard? When she decides to quit messing around, she's not only going to offend others, she will implicate us as well. With her shoulders squared, she looked as if she was going to erupt like a firecracker. As Ryan listened to Emily's words, he stared gravely in the direction in which the man and Lisa went. People at the side were looking curiously at Lisa and James. Curious conversation dominated the air. Who is the man going with Lisa? Indeed, I've never heard of him, but he is so handsome. Those eyes are so enchanting, I think he's even more handsome than today's groom. Olivia heard the talk, but only turned around when she heard how someone was more handsome than the groom. Lisa was with that man. Olivia's heart hardened. This Lisa. She certainly arrived with an agenda today. She was come to seize the focus. James continued pushing Lisa till they came to an area where there were few people. Only then did Lisa breathe out a sigh of relief. Looking up at James, she asked, "What brings you here?" James responded, "There's a happy occasion in your family. As your husband, I have to come take a look, don't I?" Looking behind, he could still see Ryan's shadow. In his heart, he did not understand why Lisa would choose someone like that. He was only a pretty lad. Did Lisa like this type of man? While considering, James's face clinched up even more. Lisa answered, "It is only my sister's engagement." "And the engagement of the man you like," James answered with disdain. Lisa replied without hesitation, "Hey, it's not like that." "Ryan, wasn't that his name?" James glanced at her. Lisa's face reddened somewhat. She hesitantly admitted, "That was in the past. In any case, as your husband, I should be with you at an event like this." Lisa commented gently, "There's no need for that." "It's all right. I'm your husband." James pushed her towards the banquet area. Lisa reminded him, "Only on paper." James said, "For every day we're not divorced, you are still the woman betrothed to me as my wife. Legally and morally, you are my wife, so I should be here." Lisa lifted her head up. With his words, she felt warmth gently seeping into her heart, and she felt so full. Chapter 43. Clothes tangled up. Then Lisa observed the movement of reporters. "Reporters are coming. No, I have to leave now. I was surrounded by them just now." Lisa has little experience with reporters. She still did not know how to handle them. She did not know what to say and was frightened of saying the improper words that might damage her employment. James glanced and remarked, "We can hide inside. Let's go." As he said this, he glanced across at his warriors to walk over and take a look. Under the covert protection of his warriors, the two of them walked deeper in. Lisa was glad that no reporters followed them. Luckily, we lost them. I wouldn't know what to do otherwise. James gazed at her silently and thought that if the hotel had not been under his family's name and surrounded by his people, she could never have escaped. It was not that the reporters did not follow her, they were halted. Soon they found a room in the hotel to rest. James said, "I've asked for the staff to bring some food. You should have some." "That's great, James." "You're too good," She raised her head towards James, her face filled with gratitude. James recognized that she was putting on an act, but he was secretly satisfied. "Since you know how good I am, then treat me better," he remarked and slid a dish in front of her. Sitting in a wheelchair was inconvenient. When James pushed the plate in front of her, she glanced at him with greater happiness. She did not dislike this man all the time. Lisa ate a couple pieces of food while James's phone rang. He went over to grab it up. On the other end of the telephone, the security guard responded, "Sir, Ryan wanted to look for you just now. We stopped him." Expressionless, James glanced over to Lisa. When he put down the phone, he noticed Lisa squirming around and likely tugging at her clothes. James asked, "What's wrong?" Lisa strained to untie the ribbon in the back. Defeated, she moaned, "I think my back is all tangled up." James shook his head and moved over to her. "Okay, seeing as you are dumb and clumsy, let me give you a hand." Lisa gave in. "All right, you're the smart one," he said. "Look at how silly you are." He took a closer look to find that the ribbon was stuck in the wheelchair. No surprise that was hard for her. He ripped out the ribbon and added, "Nobody asked you to wear a dress so difficult to wear." Lisa felt his hands moving about, occasionally touching her back and making it impossible to contain herself. Pretending not to feel anything, she hissed, "It's an engagement. I can't not wear something formal. Also, I am your wife now. Surely I have to give you face. See this dress? My business let me borrow it. It's branded." James's face reddened. "If you have no clothes, I could have bought them for you." "Why borrow from your company?" "That would be troublesome." "Is it troublesome? Or is it because you didn't want to tell me you were going to the engagement party of the guy you like?" James mumbled as his grasp tightened. The more he thought about how determined she was to attend the party, the more uncomfortable he felt. Lisa felt a pain in her back. She turned angrily to him and said, "Hey, if you don't want to help me, don't. You're hurting me." "I'm sorry." "I didn't realize." He too was bewildered by his own thoughts. He kept his head down and continued unraveling the ribbon with more care. Lisa asked anxiously, "Hey, why is your head down? Is your disease acting up again?" She recalls him warning her that if he ventured too close to ladies, he would have terrible allergic symptoms, including vomiting and rashes. James said, "How could it be? I'm not afraid of touching you and getting sick." "I would never embarrass myself in front of you," James added. "Speaking of embarrassment, I have seen a lot of it on your side." Lisa hissed at James. "The pleasure is all mine." She had been drugged, shamed, and made drunk by him. He surely had seen everything. Lisa thought that Emily was definitely nothing like that. No surprise he loved Emily and not her. Women should retain their distance from men. After all, ladies need to keep their image. Otherwise, which man would ever love them? Especially James. Given his prominence, he must have come across plenty of stunning ladies. James stared closely at her zipper. It was so interwoven that it was going to be hard to unzip. As he worked on the zipper hard, he could not help but notice with his head bent down that he was facing her fair and tender neck. The fabric below floated about as light shone softly at the front. He remembered her telling him that her chest was shaped like two peaches. Looking at it, certainly it was. Although the blue fabric was concealing most of it, the top part of her chest was still obviously exposed and somewhat moving. From that angle, he could see a big part of her bare back. Her skin was velvety and soft. It seemed to be poreless except for a layer of exceedingly fine hair on the surface like a baby's skin. His throat felt shockingly warm. He averted his gaze away but could not help feeling worried. However, he looked to get more nervous as his hands fumbled more. He was frustrated that he just could not detangle it. Forcefully, he shouted, "Shit, it won't budge." With one firm pull, the dress let forth a rip sound. It was torn. Lisa could not believe what just transpired. She grabbed her clothes and silently lifted her head at James. She was annoyed and shouted. She felt the air conditioner blowing at her exposed flesh. It made her uncomfortable. "What have you done, James? How is this helping?" James was also vexed. His ears turned red as he did not know what to do. A significant section of the dress slipped off, showing areas of her body. However, it made her look much more attractive. Her body seemed to shimmer through the light, showing her gorgeous baby-like hair. Nobody could resist her. His heart jumped as if somebody wrenched it. She tilted her head to his, eyes gazing like daggers into James's. "The dress is ruined. Do you have any idea how much it cost?" James said furiously. "I will pay you back." You'd better." James glanced at her and grabbed up his phone. "Get me a lady's formal gown, one with my wife's measurements," James commented as he glanced at Lisa, who was staring at him reluctantly with her huge eyes and hanging onto her garments. Her chest was already large, but with her hands held against it, it looked even bigger. James's eyes looked to be lost as he glanced at her. She scowled and turned away. This idiot. Lisa had no other alternative than to roll herself into the restroom. She found a bathrobe and put it on. Chapter 44. My wife does not concern. Urian turned around to find her walking out in a bathrobe. He could not stop staring at her. Lisa said, "I had no choice but to wear this. Seriously, this is all your fault. Did you do it on purpose? To think that my outfit may be damaged like that?" Ryan could only stare at her in her bathrobe with the sash flowing loosely about her waist. If he had not acknowledged this woman's brilliance, she would not have been capable of acting so naturally appealing. He realized that she was being deliberate. If she was simply wearing a bathrobe, that would mean that underneath was merely some underpants. Ryan's body grew hot. Staring at her in her robes, he did not want to look away. He kept thinking about her skin and her loose garments. Reaching in would be so easy. Ryan shook his thoughts away as he heard the sound of the door outside. Lisa said, "The clothes are here already? Go bring them in quickly." Ryan nodded and looked at Lisa before going to open the door. The lodging was a suite with a bedroom inside and a sitting area outdoors. Ryan closed the bedroom door and exhaled hard before walking towards the main door. However, to his shock, there was a man with jet black hair and pale features. Nathan. Nathan recognized Ryan, and his eyes jumped to glance inside the room. When he could not see Lisa, he switched his gaze back to Ryan. Lisa's bond with him seemed strange. Hesitantly, he queried, "Is Lisa here?" Although the guy in front of him made Nathan feel little jealous, he could not help but stare down at the ring on his finger. At a closer look, his eyes lighted up. That indeed looked like the Carter family's ring. Somehow he just did not want to lower his guard in front of this man. Thus, the passion in his gaze intensified as he said, "I am Lisa's friend." Ryan stood there half a head higher than Nathan. His set of dark eyes were unfathomable and infinite like the night sky, deep and unobtrusive. His eyes swept over Nathan. Ryan could not fathom what made Lisa so captivated to him. What kind of taste in guys did she have? Did she actually enjoy this type of attractive boy? Somehow, one was Ethan and now the other one was Nathan. They were both merely wonderful boys. Ryan's voice was cold and proud. Although he was being a gentleman, he had a high aura that was not to be messed with. "Lisa is inside, but she's busy." "Busy?" Nathan asked suspiciously. "Tell her it's me. She will see me." Ryan's delicate fingers massaged his nose, his eyes softening. "She's not exactly busy. She's just not wearing clothes right now, so I can't unlock the door for you." Nathan was shocked. Seeing Nathan's face, he replied, "It was all my fault. I was careless. I destroyed her dress, and I've asked my men to get her replacement garments. So for now, it's really not convenient for her to come out." Even if those statements were disguised, Nathan understood. Revealing a sense of humiliation, Nathan never thought that this man in front of him and Lisa would have that kind of relationship. Nathan said, "You may not be aware, but Lisa and I go way back. We've known each other for many years." He could not help but feel irritated towards Ryan. "Oh, Lisa told me," Ryan said kindly. "She has mentioned it to me. I know you may be powerful and can do anything you want, but Lisa is a simple girl. I don't want her to get hurt. So if you aren't serious about her, I will absolutely not take this lying down." Like what Olivia said earlier, even if Ryan had a relationship with her, he would simply toss her aside once he grew weary of her. It made Nathan upset. In his heart, it was not that Ryan was not an equal match to him, or that Ryan was playing with Lisa. Instead, he wondered if Ryan had cheated her into being with him. Ryan never thought that he would one day be threatened by Nathan. Looking at Nathan, he said, "If you are warning me as a friend, I'll have you rest assured that my relationship with her is completely legitimate. We have mutual feelings and trust. There are no secrets between us, and there is a promise between us that will not be violated." What he said was true, but that was not all there was. Ryan's expression transformed to something more menacing. As he looked at Nathan, he said, "However, if you are warning me as a man, I'll remind you that Lisa is now my woman." His angry expression was like a sword that made Nathan feel a great threat at once. In Nathan's heart, his contempt for Ryan rose even more. Then, a service member arrived with 2 articles of clothing. "Sir, your clothes are here." Ryan's demeanor softened as he commented to the team, "Just bring them in." The insignia on the clothing did not go missed by Nathan. A high-end brand. Each piece of clothes cost at least tens of thousands. Ryan glanced blankly at Nathan. "If there's nothing else, I'm going back in." Without leaving Nathan time to speak, he closed the door swiftly. "You..." Nathan glanced at the barred door with hatred. He was not happy to get the cold shoulder after traveling all the way here. But of course. What are we to each other? Since we're living together, I have a duty to share your load. It's all right. You can tell me anything you're upset about. I will help you relieve your problems and make you feel better so I don't have to stare at an unhappy face every day. This way, I will also be happy. It's a win-win situation. There's no need. If I needed a counselor, I would have looked for a professional. But professionals would cost money. Since I've already used so much of your money, you might as well make your money's worth. Don't worry. You may fully treat me like a doctor." Lisa continued, "I'm serious." "Oh, right, that Dr. Ethan. How much does it cost to invite him home?" Lisa thought that the doctor was really skilled. He must have been earning tens of thousands a month judging by Ryan's riches. Ryan replied, 30 million yen annual salary. Lisa remarked, "My dear, you can hire me, really. I'm not as pricey. I'll come anytime and wherever. I will keep your secrets protected. I'm accountable and we're husband and wife. Blood is thicker than water."